I recently found out that my husband's mom is pregnant. She didn't tell me directly, probably wouldn't have wanted me to know as we don't get along well, at all. Still, we were on an outing for a mutual family member's birthday, and I heard her whining to an usher that they needed to bend the rules and let her back in her seat because she was pregnant, and that's why she got up. I immediately felt sick to my stomach. My husband and I don't keep secrets, and I felt like I had to tell him, but it also felt wrong. If I didn't tell him and he ever found out I knew, he would feel so betrayed. I ended up pulling her aside at the end of the night and letting her know that I knew and that I thought I had to tell him. She told me she wasn't ready and then told me she had no plans of telling him, maybe until the baby was born. What? I told her I would have to tell him, and she began to cry. She said she knew he would take it badly and feel he was being replaced since she hadn't talked to him in a while. And she said she's having a lot of weird feelings about not wanting him near the baby, but she thinks it's hormonal and it'll go away. She said she's even going to therapy to get into a place she can talk to him again, and please don't tell him. They used to be close, but she hates me with a passion, and it's ruined their relationship. I said I was so sorry, but I just don't keep secrets from my husband. She called me a stupid witch and ran off crying. I told my husband and he didn't take it well at all. He called her, and there was a massive fight. And now mother-in-law's telling everyone that I'm evil and I betrayed her. The family's pretty split about if he had the right to know or not. Everyone's the idiot here. Mom and husband are in a dynamic that I'm not going to even touch. But there are problems, and obviously, he stuck you in there too, which is wrong. That being said, you're textbook meddling. Let them hash their own crap out. How would he possibly ever know you heard something? Who knows if she was even telling the truth? What do you gain or lose by getting involved in this ridiculous mess? Your whole family sounds like a drama magnet, to be honest. People don't seem to understand how it's meddling to run up to mother-in-law and start interrogating her about pregnancy. Like, why is that your business? You are the idiot. It wasn't your news to share, no matter how you received the information. You said that you and mother-in-law don't get along, and it's not surprising since you clearly don't respect her. This is not a matter of being unable to keep secrets from your husband. It's you being a busybody, crap stirrer. Learn to mind your own business. You sound like a teenage brat. OP and mother-in-law don't get along per the post. OP would prioritize making sure her relationship with her husband isn't damaged by keeping a secret, even if that would negatively impact her relationship with mother-in-law. From her perspective, why should she jeopardize her husband's trust in her to help someone who doesn't like her and she doesn't like back? Typically, when a mother-in-law doesn't like a daughter-in-law, there are other issues going on. She said she doesn't want her son around his baby sibling. The mother-in-law sounds like a full-on narcissist to me. Husband comes first. OP's being a good wife. Agree. OP's not the idiot. OP didn't make a public announcement or tell multiple people or scream it from the rooftops. She told her husband she knew he'd want to know, and people in a healthy relationship don't withhold information just because they can get away with it. To me, being honest and open with your partner is a pretty core competency in a relationship, and that includes the whole truth. Potential plot twist: she's not pregnant at all and lied to the usher so she could break the rules, and later, she didn't want her son or anyone to know because it was made up. I mean, it's not like mother-in-law was confiding it secretly to somebody and OP overheard that. She was saying it out loud to a random usher to get away with breaking a rule. Or, mother-in-law is pregnant, isn't planning on keeping it, and doesn't want the backlash from her kid. OP, you were in a no-win situation. If you tell, someone will be angry, mother-in-law. If you didn't, someone would be angry, hubby. If I had found out my mother was pregnant and my husband knew all along and didn't tell me, I would be beyond angry. My daughters, teens, are on the same dance team. Their team won a competition on Sunday, and we were all so excited and proud of them. After the competition, my dad suggested we go out to eat and said he would pay for wherever we wanted. My oldest daughter, who loves seafood, has been asking for years to go to a restaurant with unlimited crab legs, but it's a very pricey restaurant, so we've never been able to go. She immediately suggested this restaurant. My dad liked the suggestion. My daughter suggested we go to her favorite restaurant, a local Mexican restaurant, instead. We've been there many times as it's much more affordable. Knowing this would be a wasted opportunity, I said the older daughter's suggestion made more sense because it was somewhere we'd never been. My youngest daughter complained she wouldn't like anything there, but I assured her the menu would have more than crab legs. We got there and sure enough, many dishes didn't have seafood, including steak, the youngest favorite. Even though there were dishes without seafood, the youngest daughter said she wasn't hungry because the restaurant smelled weird, so I ordered her steak anyway. The younger daughter pouted throughout the meal. She picked at her steak. The older daughter was very happy and completely absorbed in the crab legs. My mom tried to talk to my youngest daughter about the competition, but she wasn't responsive. At the end of the meal, we were all stuffed, except for the youngest. My dad told everyone to pick a dessert to go, except for the youngest, because she's clearly not hungry. I asked my dad to leave her alone, and he did, but she was already upset. When we got home, I tried to talk to her. I explained that this was a rare opportunity, and sometimes we must let someone else have something nice. I told her I could have taken us to the Mexican restaurant this weekend. She said it's not the same, because the restaurant we went to the night of the competition is special, and we went somewhere she didn't like. I pointed out that she didn't know she didn't like it because she didn't try it. She said I know she hates seafood, and that the restaurant is known for its seafood, so she wouldn't want to go there after a special event. She was annoyed Monday and Tuesday, but started to mellow on Wednesday. This morning she asked if we were going to the Mexican restaurant tomorrow. I said not this week because of her behavior, but we'll see next week. She wasn't happy. Am I too hard on her? I think she was very rude to her grandparents, but I know when you're a teenager everything feels like a bigger deal than it is. Should I have just let her behavior slide and taken her to the Mexican restaurant? Not the idiot. You're teaching her a valuable lesson here. Too many people seem to have the mentality of, when I'm done being angry and move on, you all have to as well, as though her mood improving absolves her of any accountability for her actions while being crappy. Everyone's the idiot here. I don't think it was particularly well done to choose a place only one child liked, when both of them won the same competition and shared the achievement that earned eating out. It probably contributed hugely to the younger's attitude, since her wishes were entirely ignored and no compromise was offered. Just the older one got what she wanted. Were there any other places they could have cheerfully agreed to go? I disagree, because the oldest has never been to the restaurant she wanted, and the youngest always gets to go to her favorite. She'll learn that she can't always get what she wants. They both won the competition. They both were to be rewarded, but only one's feelings were considered for the reward. You told your youngest you wanted to celebrate her and to pick a restaurant, then ignored her once because you saw a chance to go somewhere you and your oldest wanted to try. Do I think she could have handled it better? Of course. But she's a teen, you're the adult, so you are the idiot. This week was the wedding of two of my husbands, 33 and my 31 female, longtime friends. For some background, recently we've been having issues. I told him I needed some space, so we agreed he should temporarily move back in with his mom. I wasn't thrilled about this because she tends to baby him, but I had to accept it as he had nowhere else to go, and I wanted him out of the house. I wondered what to do about the wedding. We talked and decided it would be best for us to go together and for him to move back home afterward. He didn't have time before the wedding to pack up his things, so he got ready at his mom's while I got ready at home, and we planned to meet there. When he arrived, I was already chatting with friends. He came over to us, and I immediately noticed this rotten stench on him. He smelled like he'd been dumpster diving. It made my eyes water a little. I saw our friends noticing, but he was completely oblivious and kept on chatting. I tried to discreetly let him know, but he wasn't getting the hint. We took our seats in the chapel and the service was beautiful. By this point, my nose had tuned out the smell, but it was clearly affecting other people, and I still hadn't had a chance to let him know. After the service, I saw an old girlfriend I hadn't seen in years and wanted to catch up. Apparently, while I was chatting with her, a friend had pulled hubby aside and told him he stunk. He got upset and demanded we leave immediately. In the car, we agreed, and he told me I was a horrible wife to let him embarrass himself like that in front of friends, and I was probably laughing behind his back. He said that I knew he could be forgetful, and since he was my responsibility as his wife, I should have called him up at his mom's to remind him to shower, Usually he'll come in when I'm in. Instead, I was speechless and said nothing the entire car ride home while he scolded me. This morning I checked my phone, and we've both been removed from a number of group chats, including friends that went to the wedding. I heard through some friends that the bride feels we ruined her day. More people were talking about my husband than we thought, and she no longer wants to speak with us. I'm shocked and hurt by this, and have been feeling guilty all day. I didn't want to embarrass him by letting him know when other people were around, but now I've cost him friends and feel like I've handled it all horribly. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your husband is the one who ruined their day by showing up smelling like a whole carcass. You could have said something. You did not. From his reaction, I'd bet he'd be mad either way, telling him or not telling him. And honestly, he should be embarrassed. He's a grown man living with his mom, who still requires his wife to call him daily to remind him to shower. Screw that. Does a 33-year-old man have to be reminded to shower? How bad do you have to smell to ruin a wedding? He was projecting his shame into anger onto you. If you smell so bad that you're kicked out of a group chat, you need a long, hard look at yourself. OP, leave him with his mom. He needs a little more help from his mom in being a grown-up. I've seen my husband got mad at me for forgetting to wake him up. My husband got mad at me for making him the wrong food. My husband got mad at me for blah. But I've never seen my husband got mad at me for not telling him to shower. This is a historical day for mama's boys' incompetence and hygiene. Do you want to stay married to this excuse of a man? Seriously, no one, and I mean literally no one, should have to tell their spouse to shower. Being forgetful is no excuse for poor hygiene. Does he not have a nose? Is he incapable of smelling or even feeling the filth on his body? The fact that he berates you and puts this entire situation on you would be enough for me to make the separation official. This is appalling behavior. I, 45 male, have 2 daughters, young teen and teen, who were both excited to attend my brother, 38, and sister-in-law's, 22, wedding happening in 12 days. And so was I, until this morning when my brother and sister-in-law came for an unexpected visit. Another recent event was my younger daughter having to take a break from her soccer team after she tripped on the ball and suffered an injury to her face. The scars she gained from the impact were noticeable, but certainly not ruining. My sister-in-law didn't know about this and started acting oddly around my youngest daughter. After a quick snack, my sister-in-law asked to speak to me alone in a reluctant manner and told me that my daughter might make the guests uncomfortable at her wedding. When I asked her why she thought that way, she stated that the scar was noticeable and it would be best if my eldest daughter attended only. I got defensive quickly and told her that if my daughter wasn't allowed to come, I won't come. My brother overheard and tried to mediate the situation, but my sister-in-law told me if I didn't want to come, that was up to me. Ultimately, I told them to leave and that I wasn't attending the wedding. My sister-in-law left quickly, but my brother said that my sister-in-law shouldn't impact my choice to go, and that it was a tradition in every wedding to have the groom's brother attend. Am I the idiot? Wait, what? Seriously, what in the flipping flapjacks is wrong with your future sister-in-law and brother? The first reaction should have been like, oh my goodness, needs to be. I'm so sorry you went through that and so glad you're on the mend. You're one tough cookie. But clearly sister-in-law missed the compassion chip when she came down the assembly line. Not the idiot, OP. That's what your brother gets for marrying a 22-year-old bride. Total immaturity. Oh, your brother's also an idiot. Mediate? What is there to mediate? There should be no dispute that his fiancée was engaged in flagrant idioterization, and then to suggest that his fiancée shouldn't affect your decision to attend. Holy hairballs! That's not what's affecting your decision. Your future sister-in-law disinviting your daughter for a flocked-up reason is why. Wait, there's more. It was a tradition in every wedding to have the groom's brother attend? You can tell your brother it's also a tradition not to marry someone young enough to be your child. Yeah, this incident should be a huge wake-up call to your brother about the type of person he's marrying, although the age gap indicates he doesn't have the best judgment anyway. Don't go, OP. Your brother's marrying a shallow individual, and you're standing up for your daughter. No one will be afraid. Shallow, too young for your brother worries about her day being ruined and pictures being forever scarred because of your daughter's appearance. She's too immature to be honest. I, 35 male, am married to a woman named Jess, 26. We dated for 2 years before the marriage and have been married for 1 year now. Most of my family has passed away, but I have, or rather had, one aunt from my mother's side. My Aunt Jill took an active role in raising me, making sure I was fed and clothed when my mother was unable or unwilling, which was often. We kept in touch, but living across the country from her, she and Jess never met. Yesterday morning I got the news that my Aunt Jill had suddenly passed away. I was shocked because she was still young, and her life was taken prematurely in an accident. I immediately told Jess. Jess was sympathetic at first, but I told her that I needed a while to be in my room. I went to my room, where I just mindlessly spaced out browsing through a new site. At some point, Jess knocked on my door and told me that I needed to talk about it, to which I responded that I appreciated the sentiment, but I just needed to be alone. Jess reacted harshly to this, saying I was an emotional black hole. Then she slammed my door and stomped away. For the next 2 hours, every 10 to 15 minutes or so, Jess would open my door abruptly and half shout, asking if I was ready to be an adult. I grew increasingly impatient until I just stood up and went out for a walk. When I got home about an hour later, the chain was locked on our front door, which we never use, and I repeatedly knocked and pushed the doorbell until Jess said she'd only let me in if I agreed to talk about what happened. I said no, so Jess walked away. Eventually she unlocked it because I kept pounding on the door, and she didn't want me embarrassing her in front of the neighbors. Jess is furious at me now, saying that I'm not really grieving because I'm online. She said that I needed to let her in on my feelings, but I responded that it's hard to let her in on my feelings when she just refused to let me into our house. That set her off even more. Am I being a mega idiot here? Not the idiot, but your wife certainly is. There is no right or wrong way to grieve, and by pushing you into grieving her proper way, she's making it harder for you to process your aunt's death. Her locking you out is a solid idiot move, as it is not giving you space to process how you're feeling. She needs to apologize to you and back off. Honestly, this is such a red flag. Locking you out of your own home? That's over the top. This is a very troubling reaction from her. Your wife seriously needs to grow up. Does she always throw her dolly out of the pram if she doesn't get her own way? OP, run. She doesn't want to make you feel better. This is all for her. Not everybody handles grief the same. She should respect your wishes and give you space. And throwing a temper tantrum like that is a huge red flag. Like I said, run.